Traditions, uniforms, and all of the above. It's the Cheer Mom. Yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Mom. Yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Moms, your podcast is on.
Are any of you wondering, either in joy or in dread, how long the Wicked craze is gonna last? I'm here for it. I gotta tell you, I've been a fan of Wicked since the very beginning, since 2004. I am a stingy, snobby, OG Broadway fan of Wicked. I have seen Wicked the musical. It is my favorite show, despite you might think that Hamilton's my favorite show. I love Hamilton, but Wicked is my favorite show. I listened to it on blast when my kids were toddlers. I had a green dress that I called my Elphaba dress, and nobody else understood it. Nobody else got it when I had it back in 2008. But they sure would now. And when I say stingy and snobby, here's an example for you. Not only was I incredibly hesitant to see the first movie because it's real tough to do a musical movie. It's real tough unless you're The Sound of Music or Carousel or the very few successful movie musicals. Many have tried, many have failed, and I could not stand to be disappointed by, again, my favorite show. I did see the movie. I loved it. I cried, especially when Idina and Kristen came out. The Magical Wise Ones. I mean, thank you, John Chu, for that gift. Thank you for honoring the OGs, for honoring the ancestors from whence we all came. But a good example is my good friend Samantha Ryan. She's a huge Wicked fan, like obsessed Wicked fan. Just look on her social media. You will not have to scroll far to see that she is a huge Wicked fan. And I knew this, and I was with her and my daughter Abby at the summit this past year, and they were playing Defying Gravity on the loudspeakers, and Sam and Abby were belting it out and singing, and I stopped them, and I stomped my foot, and I said, I was a Wicked fan before either of you were even born. And Sam, as gracious as she is, she didn't roll her eyes. She just stopped, and she goes, really? Like she was humoring me. And my daughter, without skipping a beat, looks over at me and just deadpan, straight-faced, no criticism, no making fun. She goes, well, do you think that there are room for more Wicked fans? Like, do you have to be the only Wicked fan? And I was like, no, yes, I have to be. Girl read my mail, schooled me on, having an abundance mindset or whatever. And I was like, she's like, can we share this together? Can we all be Wicked fans? Is that okay with you? She was nicer than that, but man, girl spoke some truth into my heart. And I was like, yeah, let's all enjoy it together. But I need the world to know I was a Wicked fan first, before the frenzy, before any of you were singing any of the songs. Like, I would post on Instagram all the time. People, I'd repost and be like, welcome to what the rest of us have been enjoying for the last 20 years, Wicked movie fan. Such a snob. I know, it's not right. I'm just a snob about it. Like, it's that competitiveness, and it's that deep, deep love for, like, okay, if you're going to be a fan of Wicked, you have to be as big of a fan as I am. Otherwise, I will just school you, and I won't be any fun to hang out with. There was even recently a showing of, I don't even know how to say it. The Northern Lights appeared in my part of the world. So I'm in Colorado, and people were getting these great views of the Northern Lights through their camera on night mode. I still don't understand it. And somebody posted they were very pink and purple, but there was one view that was pink and green. And somebody was like, this Wicked promo is getting out of control. How do they even do this? So the Wicked craze, we're all just all of the Wicked, so much Wicked. How many Wicked songs are we going to hear in cheer mixes Is Party in the USA going to be replaced by Popular and Defying Gravity? Time will only tell. But something else, something in the cheer world specifically, is also getting a lot of promotion, is getting a lot of attention, and that is the Pro Cheer League. I've talked about it on this podcast before. I did an overview of it back in the updates episode, which I will link below. Jason Larkins on Let's Talk Cheer did a full episode about it. I will also link that episode. Listen to those episodes, get yourself a little bit acquainted with the Pro Cheer League, because I had the honor of speaking with the commissioner of the Pro Cheer League, Mr. John Newby. Now, John has been an executive at Varsity Spirit for a very long time, and he is the guy basically calling the shots when it comes to this first season, especially with the Pro Cheer League, how it unfolds, the logistics, how the teams are going to work. And so we kind of take a deep dive with the backdrop of everybody kind of knows the basics of the Pro Cheer League. So get yourself a little acquainted with it. If you need the TLDR version, you just can't wait, I will give you the TLDR version. Too long, didn't read version. The Pro Cheer League is 4 teams across the country made up of cheer athletes that are 18 and older. Some of them we know, like Gabby Butler, Maddie Brum, Haley Dylan Smith, and so many more, in 4 teams across the country that are being paid to be cheer athletes, and they are going to compete at 5 different events across the country. So John shared his time with me and talked about the vision for the Pro Cheer League back a few years ago before it started, where they hope to go moving forward, and he even leaked some stuff here exclusively, some breaking news about the format, what we can expect at Pro Cheer League events, which are conveniently placed around large all-star cheer events throughout our season, the impact that they hope to have on all-star cheerleading and on the cheer industry as a whole. It was an insightful conversation. I think that you will enjoy it. He knows a little something about cheerleading and competitive cheer, not just from being at varsity for as long as he has, but he's experienced it as a cheer parent. I'll be watching the Pro Cheer League very closely. I am really hoping to get to at least one event, hoping to make it to 2, but I gotta convince the big guy over here that it's worth the travel and accommodation. So stay tuned. I hope to be bringing all of you along for it. I'm excited. This is a good opportunity for our athletes moving forward. So let's support it the best way that we can for the future of the sport, for some of our athletes to have more opportunities ahead of them. Here is Newby, as he is referred to, or as the commish, which they should embroider that on a polo shirt for him or something. Can we all agree that we don't just wear jewelry, we tell a story with it? And that's exactly what you're going to find at TCC Jewelry. Whether it's celebrating your team, your athlete, honoring a milestone, showing your spirit, or just adding a little sparkle to your everyday look, every piece is designed to mean something special. From simple yet elegant cheer mom bracelets, rings, necklaces, little nods to cheer with sayings like hit 0 and 2 minutes and 30 seconds, to now an all-new customizable charm necklace that you can add your team colors to. TCC Jewelry makes it easy to wear what matters most to you. It's not just jewelry. It's a reminder of what you're proud of, what you've accomplished, and what you love. So whether you're gifting someone you adore or treating yourself, because you deserve it, check out TCC Jewelry and find the piece that tells your story. Shop now at tccjewelry.com and enter code CheerMomPod for a special discount at checkout. tccjewelry.com, enter coupon code CheerMomPod at checkout for a discount. This podcast is supported by Laundry Sauce. Say goodbye to mediocre laundry. Seriously, Laundry Sauce has completely changed the way I do laundry. They even have a quick scent quiz that you can take so you can find like the perfect scent for you, because they're all about a luxury laundry experience. And here's what I love about them. With Laundry Sauce, it's not just about a chore. They want it to be a moment of joy, a little bit of rebellion, and a dash of sass, and honestly, a whole lot of confidence wrapped up in just a little single pod. And I'll admit, I was skeptical at first, but these pods really do elevate your laundry game. My clothes come out cleaner, they smell incredible, and they've tackled stains I thought wouldn't come out. Things like mud, lipstick, blood, even buffalo sauce from our restaurants. My personal favorite scent is Egyptian rose, but I've got my eye on the Italian bergamot next. I literally gave my commercial brand detergent away because I love this new detergent so much. I don't want to use anything else. So if you're ready to upgrade your laundry routine, head to laundrysauce.com/cheermomblog and use the code cheermomblog at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's laundrysauce.com/cheermomblog and use the code cheermomblog at checkout for 15% off of your first order. This episode of the Cheer Mom podcast is brought to you by Apollo Performance Socks. These aren't just any socks. They're a game changer for everyone in the cheer industry, athletes, coaches, moms. I'm talking everyone. Listen to the rest of the episode to learn more and to find out how you can get 10% off your order of Apollo socks. Okay, well, before I hit record, John, I was just saying, you said you can call me Newby, which I've heard people refer to you as Newby very affectionately, but now even more so, they call you the commish. And so what does that feel like?
It feels great. I mean, I'm excited about this new opportunity. It's my full-time focus right now. So I'm happy to do it. It's kind of a big responsibility. So I'm taking it pretty seriously, but I'm excited about it.
Well, we're going to get into all things pro cheerleague, but first I want to hear, how did you get into cheerleading? You've been with varsity for over 25 years, is that right?
Over 25. It'll be 35
Oh my
in
gosh.
December, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you even get, so like, not quite since the beginning, but close. So how
Yeah.
did you get into cheerleading in the first place? And then how did you get involved with varsity?
Yeah. So it was all around my wife, Mary. So Mary cheered at Clemson, and then she taught camps, several different camp companies, but ended up her last summer teaching for UCA. And so it's kind of a long story. I'll give you the short version. But once we met, she was teaching high school and coaching a high school cheerleading squad. And somebody at varsity reached out and said, "Hey, we could use some representation in South Carolina." We were in the Clemson area where I grew up. She's from Charleston, South Carolina. Would you mind representing varsity to some other schools around, the Carolinas? Territories wide open. Varsity was just getting started with full-time sales rep positions across the country. And so Mary did that and ended up quitting her teaching job after a year and became a full-time sales rep, eventually recruited me. I played sports in high school and college. I never cheered. I'm one of the few around here.
One of the few.
Yeah.
But
So
have you ever executed a back handspring or even a forward roll? Have they made you
well,
that?
I
I feel
mean,
like that's a requirement on your
forward
resume.
roll for sure. Back
Okay,
handspring, I can't say, but I played soccer and football in high school and a little bit in college. And so once I met Mary, my cheerleading career started alongside hers. We were a great team together. Sold uniforms and recruited to summer camps across North and South Carolina. And then had an opportunity in 1995 to move to Memphis, take on some leadership roles at varsity. And Mary and I actually did that together too. She was a regional sales manager for a while. and I took over some of the operational responsibilities, and the rest is history. I tell people, Kristen, that varsity still is trying to find something for me to do that I'm good at. So I've done a lot of different things, and who knows, that maybe this is it, right? But yeah, so it's funny though, the bigger part of our origin around cheerleading continued. We have 5 daughters, and all of them cheered and danced, all-star school, college. So I was a cheer parent, maybe not a cheer mom, but a cheer parent, like many of your listeners, for the better part of 20 years. So
5 daughters, they all did cheer.
all cheer or dance. One of them was more
Wow.
of a dancer than a cheerleader, but yeah,
So your
all
paycheck
different
just goes
levels.
right back. It just is a constant
Yeah,
cycle.
if I would have had some discounts over the years, it really would have helped. So yeah, we were probably one of Varsity's biggest customers for a long time.
It
So
sounds like it. 5 daughters.
yeah,
Whew. Wow.
yeah.
So have you been, what kind of roles have you been in throughout your decades at Varsity? Because you're over events and fashion and all kinds of things now. Have you always been with all-star events?
No. So, when I started, it was more along the lines of the Varsity Spirit fashion side, marketing, sales leadership. Then I had an opportunity actually to take over our summer camp business for a little while. So I did that. I ran UCA. I helped with the merger of NCA and UCA when we combined our sales teams with cheerleader dance team and Varsity Spirit at the time. And then I had an opportunity, we started making acquisitions in the all-star space early on, this like 2005, 6, 7, but we didn't really have a strategy around it. And so I actually started the all-star division. I was given the opportunity by Jeff Webb to create some structure around our all-star business. And so as we made the acquisitions, we kind of created a new division around Varsity All-Star, and I ran that for several years. Was blessed enough to, get the summit up and running, and then D2 after that. Then I had an opportunity to move to Indianapolis, and Mary and I moved up there to take over the Herff Jones business for a couple years, which is also
Okay.
at the time was
Yeah.
under the Varsity Brands
Varsity.
umbrella.
Yeah.
Had a chance to start our impact division, which is still going strong. We moved back to Memphis in 2017, and I got involved in overseeing our impact business, which is really, at the time it was, you had Varsity Spirit, you had BSN Sports and Herff Jones, and we were going into superintendents and principals around the country trying to partner with them to really try to address the greatest needs that they had in their school. And through that partnership with Varsity Brands, we had a sales team that, we're really trying to make the communities better, more branding, which brings higher levels of school spirit, and then it increases graduation rates and all these great things. Disciplinary issues go down. So all these great things happen within schools when the level of school spirit is increased. And so that was our focus for a while. I came back and ended up running our all-star group again right around the time COVID hit, which for live events is a tough business to be in. But we had to rebuild it. And so, Bill Seeley and I, our president, have been really good friends. He started maybe a year before I did, was on the summer camp side. And then we've just kind of grown up in varsity together. And so he asked me to come back and oversee the All-Star division after COVID. And I did that. But just recently, I was over all of our event and camp operations. I've given some of that up to focus more on the professional cheer league. So I still oversee our sponsorship group and our international business. But Justin had an opportunity to advance. He's done such a great job. And Jackie Kennedy, who works with us. So Jackie's overseeing all of our event and camp operations. And Justin kind of took more of a visible role for me on the All-Star side. And so I know you're a big fan, and
We're big
so am I.
fans of Justin over here.
Yeah.
Big fans. I proposed marriage to him not long ago. He said his fiance wouldn't appreciate that very much, but I had to
Yeah.
shoot my shot.
Yeah, so he's great. So I'm happy, to give those guys an opportunity. So I'm really focused on trying to drive the foundation and the formation of the professional cheer league right now.
This episode of the Cheer Mom podcast is brought to you by Apollo. I've never met a cheer mom who doesn't want to keep their athlete healthy and injury free. We all do. But did you know that common cheerleading injuries like plantar fasciitis and ankle sprains can often be prevented just with having the proper support? That's where Apollo Performance socks come in. I wear them at night. I wear them when I travel, even just lounging around the house. And I know that they are changing the game for cheer athletes at practice and on the competition mat too. Apollo socks can even be a wonderful substitution for bulky leg braces, ankle braces, and even KT tape. And many athletes don't even need to use their heel cups anymore either. The difference in comfort and recovery is incredible. Apollo socks are designed to provide targeted support, reduce inflammation, and help your cheer athletes stay on the mat doing what they love. Visit apolloperformance.com and use code CHEERMOM2024 for 10% off. That's APOLLA performance.com and enter CHEERMOM2024 for 10% off. Okay, so I think that I can speak for most people in the industry and leaders in the industry, whether they work in varsity or in an all-star cheer gym even or not, that this pro cheer league has been very needed for a number of years. So take me back to, I'm sure that this has been an idea and a conversation for a long time. When did it start to materialize? What did your vision casting look like, either from you or as a team in the room where it happens, as we say?
Yeah, it's been discussed for a while, and it's Bill Seeley's been the vision kind of behind getting this started. And so once I got back involved in All-Star, we decided to kick things off with the Varsity Cheer League. It was the varsity, the league by Varsity All-Star. We've changed it to the Varsity Cheer League. And we thought that was the best place to start, to introduce this league concept. And just like when we started the summit, I'll go back a little bit and then I'll come back to it. It was some personal experience that I had with my daughter, who was on like a level 3 all-star team here in Memphis, and knowing that she was never going to be on a world's team, and, just looking throughout the season to go, what could we do to really give this opportunity for, level 2, level 3, especially the older, the 15, 16-year-old athletes that aren't ever going to get to Worlds. Is there something else that we could do, to give them opportunity to see who the best of the best is, in their level across the country? So that's where the concept of the summit came from. And so when we started talking about the league, I think one of the things that we do pretty well is, we never get comfortable in where we are. We're always looking for the innovation, the next big step. Jeff always, talked to us about constant, never-ending improvement. And one of the things we started to see around All-Star was, man, these end-of-season events, a little bit of a result of the Summit and D2 and others that have developed. There's so much focus on the end of the season. What could we do to make the regular season more meaningful, for these athletes and the coaches to talk about? So we created this points race, really around trying to make the regular season more meaningful. And, not just how did you do at the end of the season, but how did you do throughout the season? And so that's where we decided to start. We've been talking about professional cheerlead for probably 7 years, and Bill kept bringing it up, and, we kept talking about it, and it just got kicked down the road for a little while. And then when we decided that, we were going to go forward with it, or try to go forward with it, we decided to start with the Varsity Cheer League and then introduce the Professional Cheer League. And so we've spent the last probably 12 months really,
wow.
It's been a lot more work than I think any of us anticipated. I think we had these ideas of how we were going to get started, and we used a high-level professional consulting group that helped us, kind of put together the parameters on what it takes to build a professional league. And so it's been a journey, but we've been we've been kind of painting the ship as we sail, as we like to say. And so far so good. We had our tryouts, as you know. We've had first two practices for Dallas and Atlanta. Golden State and Miami are coming up this weekend, so we'll be on the road coast to coast a little bit. We probably could have timed that one a little bit better, but so things are headed in the right directions. We're excited about that. So that's a little bit about the background, and it's taken us a while to get it up and running. We've been talking about it for quite some time.
And so, what is your role as commissioner? Obviously, you're heading things up and you're making sure
Yeah.
that things stay in motion and continue growing on a more granular level. Maybe a day in the life, and then what does your role look like over the next 6 to 9 months?
Sure. Yeah. I'm currently, the focus has been on building this foundation and establishing, strategy and, marketing plans, ticketing, details around the venues that we're going to use at the events. And so a lot of it's been kind of taken some of the experiences that I've had in the past and working to get everything set up and ready to go for the league, including the formation of the teams, the athlete agreements, the selection of the coaches, things like that. So I'd say right now it's the broad oversight of everything that we're doing with the professional cheer league. Like we do at Varsity, it's a really big team effort, though. I mean, we've got our CMO, Nicole Lachère, has been actively involved. Bill himself is involved. Justin's helping me. Our procurement team, Maddie's involved. So we've got a pretty strong team, even though it's not their wake up every day job, that are helping to bring everything together to create this professional cheer league. And the functional groups that deal with marketing and HR, even legal, product development. Lark Wood has been kind of alongside coming up with the new format and what it's going to look like, and so we'll talk more about that later. But it's been a huge team effort, but I'm just leading the overall effort to get the PCL up and running. And over the next 6 to 9 months, a lot of it's going to be execution. And, we want to create an incredible experience, something a little bit different than what you've seen as a cheer mom in the past. And, we want to make it fun. And I mean, not that events haven't been fun or the majors or other things like that, Friday Night Live at Cheer Sport. We just want to do some things a little bit differently and kind of raise the bar a little bit for the professional cheer league. And so that's my focus over the next 6 months, is going to be on making sure we execute these events and get through the first season. And hopefully, if we do, keep heading in the direction we're headed right now, enjoy some success around this first season.
Well, and I'll fill you in that we're talking about this against the backdrop of my listeners. I did a short episode on the Pro Cheer League and the information that you all
Yeah.
have put out there, and your open letter, and also we're good friends with Jason Larkins over at Let's Talk Cheer. So that
Yeah,
episode
he's
is
great.
yeah, that episode has been linked too. So we kind of have an idea of the broad overview of what you're doing, but from a cheer mom perspective, and most of my listeners are heavily involved in the cheer world, are going to
Yeah.
many of your events, and it's interesting that you bring up the majors, because I talk with anybody who will listen that that's probably the best core cheer experience in terms of events that I have ever had. It is unlike any other. It's well
Yeah.
produced. It's that concert experience. I say, if you can afford it and you can experience that with your daughters, especially moms, that's a great event to go to. So when you're talking about pro cheer league events, is it fair to compare it to something like the majors, or you said we're going to expect something a little different? So can you hint as to what that might mean?
Yeah, and I'm actually probably going to share some things with you, Kristen, that we haven't shared yet. So we've got some details around the format. Tickets
Exciting,
go on sale.
exclusive.
Yeah, an exclusive. I like it. Tickets go on sale next week for Indy, actually. So I think the majors is probably a good comparison. I mean, the format's going to be a lot different, but from a production level standpoint, and things are going to be different. But that's probably the best comparison to look at when you're thinking about it from a broader view. So at each one of these events, we're doing the Friday night. So actually majors and the Pro Cheer League will be going on, not at the same time, but at different venues, kind of back to back. And so, it's created a few challenges for us this first year as we're working through all the details. But yeah, I think that's a good comparison from a production level standpoint. And there are probably some things that we're going to do that may even take it up a little bit, a notch or so. We're going to have media, full production there for whether we're live streaming or it's a live show. We're still working on some of the details around that. But as I know, we'll talk about that a little bit too. The media buzz is pretty strong right now. So we've got some really cool opportunities in the works.
Yeah, tell me about that because the Paramount Plus partnership was just announced. So that's
Yeah.
exciting. So will we get to stream it or how is that going to work?
We're still working on all those options. So, and it's Paramount and actually Skydance is a part, of it. And we've already partnered with them on a documentary series that we'll be doing. We hired a director already. There's already some activity taking place soon after, we were lucky enough to land a deal with Paramount. And we're excited about, what those opportunities look like. Everything from a docuseries to, live streaming options, potentially even a live event experience versus just the live streaming. I mean, we do want fans at home to be able to, to follow along and track. So we're working on all those options right now. It was moving slow for a while as we kind of gauged, what partnership we thought would be best for us. Things are moving fast right now. So we're excited about some of the opportunities that are developing.
I
More to
love that.
come as we get
I
closer to
love
the
it.
season.
I
Yeah.
know contracts and NDAs
Yeah.
and all of that, guys. They're not gatekeeping. It's the lawyers, they gatekeep. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, let's talk a little bit about the locations of the teams in the Pro Cheer League and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit behind the scenes of what that process looks like or looked like for you guys because you have obviously chosen very trusted, visible locations and managers and coaches in the all-star cheer industry. And it was, when I saw that they were connected with programs like California All Stars and Cheer Athletics and Top Gun and Stingray
Yeah.
All Stars, you think, okay, that's a no brainer. Was that an easy no brainer for you, or did you want more locations and had to whittle it down? How did that look for you?
Yeah, that's funny, Kristen. That's a good question because it's like I mentioned earlier, where we started with what we thought we were going to do. I think at one point in time we were focused on 8, like maybe we could do 8 teams. And, we were starting to build a format around that. And once we hired this consulting group that has helped to build other leagues, we narrowed that down a little bit. So from our perspective, when we started, the thing that made the most sense for us, and there were several of us involved at Varsity, is, we should look at programs that already have open teams, right? We know initially, these aren't going to be full-time jobs yet. They're, it's 5 months out of the year. We should center this around where, there are already open teams that exist. And, these coaches and gym owners are used to dealing with 18 and older and, all the nuances of that. And so we had a, let's just call it a short list to start with and some potential great partners, not just the 4 that we had, but the 8 or 10 or so that we were originally talking to. But then, through some consulting with some other professionals, they wanted us to narrow the focus down from a media and from a league development perspective to, major metropolitan locations with a diverse geographic mix. And so in the end, that's how we ended up with, San Diego, Dallas, Atlanta, and Miami to start with, and then just the broad base and the interest that you have just generally around the Atlanta, Georgia area, and Dallas, and it just made the most sense to start with those 4 locations.
So good media markets and places where people will be willing to travel to and stay in for
Yeah,
a
and
while or drive to.
yeah, and at the time, we weren't exactly sure where we were going to host these events. There was an initial conversation around, would we host an event in Southern California, and Golden State would be the home team, and so the where we landed on that was leveraging, and again, I think it's to really give the parents and the younger athletes a chance to see what the professional cheerleading is all about in person at some of our largest events across the country.
Okay, so I love all of this so far. It sounds really exciting, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned open teams and locations that have large open teams or multiple open teams. How do you think PCL will impact the open division in All-Star cheerleading, if at all?
It's interesting, Kristen. I think there are, you know, I don't know that we will know that until we get through this season and the kind of overall impact that we have. I'm sure. I mean, our intention is that it's positive overall, right? And part of developing this professional cheer league was to broaden the base, to attract, those who maybe aren't involved in cheer now, not just domestically but internationally as well. And so one of the key components that we talked about when we started and invested in this, professional cheer league was, creating some excitement around, around the country and the world, so more people would want to get involved in this activity. I know what it did for my daughters, from a leadership standpoint and a discipline and a teamwork, and I'm sure you have some similar experiences that, I mean, life is hard sometimes, and, dealing with, some of the drama and, some of the challenges. It's been overall a great experience for my girls to go through that. And so trying to broaden that base that is out there that want to get involved in cheer in the future was one of the key initiatives that we talked about when we started the professional cheer league.
Well,
But
and
back to your point on,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, just back to your point on like open teams, and I'm sure there will probably be some unintended consequences too that that stem from this. So we've tried to think through that and be really careful. I mean, that's why we were focused on the 18 and older age group only, and so we're talking about, is that the right age? Should it be a little bit older than that? How, what does the future look like? And I think, like we always do, we'll evaluate as we get further into the season and make some decisions as we move forward into a season 2 and beyond.
One thing that's really impressive that you have mentioned a couple of times is the investment that Varsity is putting in. And I talked about this in my episode on kind of my own narrative of how I was processing the press releases, that you guys, I'm sure that there are hopes and plans for future sponsorships from big sponsors and businesses in the future, but you guys this is not a proven model yet, and you're putting in a certain amount of risk by, as I understand it, Varsity is paying the athletes, and Varsity is attaching the production cost to your own P&L for this. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. We are, we believe in the future of this professional cheer league. It's not only have we invested financial resources in it, we've invested a lot of people resources in it as well. And so right now we own the teams, we pay the athletes, we're funding the cost of putting up these events. And so, we're excited about the response that we're getting so far. But, it reminds me a little bit of the summit, Kristen, when at the time I was working directly with Jeff Webb, the CEO and founder. And I remember going to his office and we were doing paid bids, to get the summit kicked off. And we were talking about the risk. And he goes, hey, well, what if only the paid bid teams come to the summit? I said, Jeff, if only the paid teams come, I mean, we're going to lose over $1 million. And he goes, well, do you think some other teams will come that aren't the paid teams? I said, we really believe they will. And we believe that, that eventually the summit's going to kick off and it's going to be this great opportunity for all the levels, not just the highest level. And so,
And we did.
We took a
did.
little bit of a risk. We
did.
did. And
we still pay.
Well, and that's, an example of us trying to take that year-end experience and again, it was personal for me, right? For that 16 or 17-year-old that's probably not going to cheer in college, but is on a really, really good level 3 or level 4 senior team, just this incredible opportunity to maybe end their career on a really high note, or at least being able to test their skills against, some of the other great teams, across the country. But anyway, I mean, that's kind of where we are with the league. I've had a chance to talk to the athletes now. I went to the first practice for Atlanta and Dallas, and I said, look, I mean, just think about it as Varsity is your biggest sponsor right now. And, we're investing in uniforms, we're investing everything that it takes right now. I mean, we hope that sponsorships come along. We're working on that. We're working on these media, opportunities. But right now, it's all the expense that we're committed to, and we think that the media, the sponsorship, we got some really cool merchandise that our merchandise team has developed, and we hope we're gonna deliver such an incredible experience that the momentum's just going to pick up after season 1. So some of the athletes that we've had, I mean, we've got great team managers and coaches, but some of the athletes and the opportunity to talk to them and hear their stories and how they thought they were done with cheer. And, now they get a chance to come back out and, even if it's only for a couple years. I talked to one of the athletes in Miami when we were down there for tryouts. She's like, I'm in nursing school. Like, I didn't think, I love cheering and I missed it, but I didn't really have the opportunity. So I'm coming back. And there's so many stories like that, that I think that athletes are going to drive the interest. It's going to be fun to see. So yeah, we're happy to make the investment. I mean, we think it's going to pay off in the future, but there are no guarantees. And I mean, if this works in season 1, we'll be looking to expand in season 2 and add more events and add more teams. And, that's the plan. And right now we're really focused on making sure that this first season is successful and we can execute it in a first class way.
Well, and talk about the positive impact for these athletes. First of all, it's going to give professional cheerleader a whole new meaning, hopefully, a whole new definition.
Yeah.
And talk about some of the benefits to these athletes. Of course, they're getting, like you said, a continuation of their cheer career that they thought maybe was over.
Right.
They're getting paid part-time pay. What are some of the other benefits that the pro athletes are going to have as a result of not only being paid and being part of the inaugural season, but moving forward?
Yeah, it's funny that what you mentioned is hearing from some of these athletes is such a big part of being like this pioneer to set the stage for, the future of what professional cheerleading can be. And so that's a part of it. But I also think there's going to be some opportunities around some, content creation, more influencer opportunities, if we end up with, some of the media opportunities that we're talking about. I think they're going to get, I mean, some of them have incredible followings now. They don't really need our help. But I think for those who don't, it's going to create a whole new level of opportunity for them to, broaden their base and create more opportunities. And then, we've added some prize money into the mix. So at each one of these events, if the winning team will take away some prize money. So we're trying to add some things along the way. They're not having to pay for their uniforms. We're covering all their travel to and from events. We're given a per diem while they're there. So we're trying to take any concern, with any expense. And, even though, like you said, it's not a full-time job, yet you've got to start somewhere. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Huge in cheerleading, even in college cheerleading. It's not even we'll pay you, but it's not even you have to get yourself there and then we'll pay you. So that's huge because cheerleaders don't get paid. They get nothing covered in most places when it comes to travel and meals and lodging. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we do too. And again, we were really transparent with, all the athletes who were trying out about, what their expectations, are initially, to be a part of the professional cheerleading. And, we've got a mix of athletes that are, on current open teams, that are coaching, that are traveling in, to be a part of, these teams. And so we're having to manage travel schedules and practice times. And we kind of expected that though. And that's, with the team managers and the coaches that we have involved, I couldn't be more proud of them and their leadership, to help us get this up off the ground and running.
Yeah, it seems like you have to have people really entrenched on the inside running this for you because they have to manage things like that. They have to know what's happening, and you just don't know what's happening unless you're just really immersed in cheerleading. So that's really cool because it's got to be a logistical almost kind of nightmare because I can think of 3 athletes off the top of my head that are on pro cheerleading teams that have jobs and have social media followings that they're managing their own brand partnerships and they're coaching and they're trying to be on an open team. That makes my brain hurt just thinking about all that scheduling and conflict and communication.
That is you're right, and that is one area where we have a person that's working with us, Kelly Thorpe, who is managing all the travel, the hotel arrangements, and
she's an
now
angel. Buy
just
her some
over
flowers
100.
and a cake.
She is at one of the trials. They called her Queen Kelly because she was already answering all their questions. And then I mentioned a lot of names. Before I forget, Damien. I don't know if you know Damien.
Yes,
Albee,
we've had Damien on the.
Damien is I couldn't have created the summit without her and her involvement, and she is the strength to about every one of my weaknesses, which is quite a few. But she's been my right hand here recently, dealing with the coaches and the team managers, and just even though she's got another full-time job on our international business, she's been a huge help to me to get things to where we are right now. She'll continue to be involved.
Well, and we've danced around this a little bit, but we're talking about global attention and global attraction and getting athletes from all over the world involved in the professional cheer league and maybe one day having international pro cheer teams. Does this all kind of point toward the overall vision of getting cheer in the Olympics? I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hurt, but is this part of that strategy?
I wouldn't necessarily directly relate it to part of the strategy. I know, Jeff Webb his kind of life work at the ICU now has been to get us in position to have, cheerleading considered for the Olympics. And we're getting really close. And he and Carl Olson and that team have done an incredible job. And so if this helps support that in some way, I heard recently, and I can't confirm this, I'm not even sure if I should say it, that, what the Olympic Committee is looking for in the future is some professional league that's attached to, being a part of the Olympics is important to them.
I've heard that from more than one source. So you're thinking safe.
Maybe even required in the future. So I think that, that could help, but it wasn't the drive behind starting the professional cheer league. So if we can help in some way, I mean, raising, to that level and seeing like a, Team USA, just the development that's happening now in the international space and the level of competitiveness that we're seeing.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been to the ICU event that takes
Yes.
place right before Worlds. Man, I would encourage, and I know there's a huge expense going to Disney and all the travel and everything that happens there. But if you haven't, or your listeners haven't had a chance to see that, it's pretty incredible experience to be there.
So I haven't been to the ICU portion of World. I've seen kind of the international summit teams, but I know that's different. So I'm making it a mission
Right.
to go that day early and watch those teams because I've heard nothing but good things about it. So that is one of my, I think 2026 is the year I'm going to be able to do it. So I'm looking forward to it.
You will not be disappointed. I promise you that.
I am counting on it.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
and I think that this is really going to have a very positive impact, the trickle down effect with the younger athletes having something else to work toward and look forward to, and
Right.
keeps athletes engaged in the sport for longer, and hopefully it will keep athletes from burning out so quickly, and really focusing on the perfecting of their skills and trusting those coaches to say, no, you've got to get this absolutely perfect before you can move on or level up, because if you want to be a pro cheerleader one day, you're not just going to be able to skate
Yeah.
by. You've got to be one of the best. So I'm excited to see over the next coming years what it does for younger athletes and what it does for cheerleading in the technical sense as a whole.
Yeah. We do too, Kristen, and we think, there's an incredible stunt opportunity that's growing out there.
Yeah.
College cheerleading is amazing, and the level of competition we get to see there through our, UCA and NCAA events, that it's great. The open teams are a great option. We see the professional cheerleading as just another option to continue that career, and get paid for it, which is the one thing that will be different, for the future of the professional cheer league, that we think will make a big difference.
Well, and until cheer gets more funding at major universities, not every cheer athlete is going to be able to afford to go to the big college where they want to compete on a college cheer team. I
Right.
think college cheer is great, but this could be another avenue to take, like you said.
Right. And your point on, broadening the base and the younger athletes and, something to shoot for. One of the things we've talked to the athletes about is how important engagement with the fans and the parents that are going to be bringing, the younger athletes there. This is not, stay behind the scenes. So we're going to make an effort to really get these athletes out in front of parents and their kids that they bring to these events and really make it a unique experience along those lines too.
So, speaking of unique experience, I want to kind of wrap up on, we talked about what we can expect from a PCL event from a production standpoint. And we already know that all five, is it 5 events that you're having?
5. Yep.
Okay. They're all
Yeah.
conveniently placed in cities on weekends where most of us will have experienced an all-star cheer event. What can we expect from the competition? There's 4 teams, and I keep hearing words like head-to-head bracket style being thrown around. Can you explain what that means?
I will, and I don't think we've publicly done this yet. So
Okay.
let's go ahead
If
and
you
get it out
can't,
there.
that's
What a
okay.
better group to leak it to than fellow parents of
I'm honored.
cheerleaders. But so this is what Lark has been working on for us, and Leroy McCullough too. Leroy, has such incredible experience with Team USA and Oklahoma State in the past, and so you know the format you can expect is going to be, so you've got, let me just go through it, right? 4 teams. They'll all be competing at all 5 events. And there's going to be 4 quarters. The first quarter is going to be, let's just say, more like a traditional routine, 2 minutes and 15 seconds, maybe 2:30. There'll be some nuances that are a little bit different from the traditional routines, maybe some, different rules, and, I'll keep one thing in the bag for now. But that it'll be a little bit different, but similar to that, traditional routine. And then the next 3 quarters are going to be 9 games that are played. That will include things like target tumbling and, highest tumbler, flash pyramid. So, that's to think about it, over the next, the quarter 2 through 4, will be a series of games that are played, and you'll have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket. In each quarter, points will be accumulated throughout the event, and we'll have a winner of each event. And then those points will not necessarily carry over to the next event, but they will accumulate throughout the season. And the last event's going to be worth double the points. So it'll be kind of the championship. And, but each team will have a chance to win, each event. The points won't carry over into that week. We'll start with a clean slate, but then the points that they end up with from, the second event will carry over, to the third, fourth, fifth, and we'll have a total at the end of the season.
Very interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just 4 teams competing a 2.5-minute routine. It's going to be a whole kind of game quarter experience.
Yes, that's
Okay.
that's it. And again, I think that's the first time we've set that out publicly. So hey, we're a week away from selling tickets. It's about time. I told Maddie I was gonna go ahead and get it out there, and she was okay with that. But
I think that
yeah,
parents will appreciate that, especially when looking at purchasing additional tickets, that this isn't just we're going
Yeah.
to be here for 10 minutes watching your favorite famous cheerleaders perform. It's going to be a whole game experience.
and we're really focused on the fan engagement aspect. And so we've got some exciting things planned throughout the event. We're going to have a DJ. We'll have a live in-venue hype crew. Again, I'm leaking some additional information now that you have me going. We're going to have some celebrity judges that are involved, and it's not going to be like you're used to seeing on a platform, breaking down all the scores. This is, we're going to probably have 3 judges at each event, that have, pretty interesting backgrounds and experiences. And, while we're at it, each event, we're going to sell a limited number. We have limited tickets to sell just because of the venues that we're going to be in. But with the exception of Houston, actually, we're going to be in the Toyota Center in Houston, which is going to be really cool. That'll be the biggest venue that we're in. But we'll sell VIP tickets, which will include, not just best available seating, but, some gifts and a meet and greet opportunity, a private meet and greet opportunity after the event is over with all the teams, all the athletes, and all the coaches. So, and then we'll have general admission as well. So, we're excited about, we're already getting questions about how can I get on the list, to get the tickets. And so we've got a big ticketing plan that we'll be rolling out, next week. And I know we've got some information around the hashtag professional cheer league or pro cheer league. That there's all the information that we end up sending out publicly ends up there. So yeah, we're excited. It's going to be fun, I think.
Well, with all of the talk that you've done around teams and merch, and I get the emails with the merch and really pushing these teams and really trying to get a fan base behind these teams. I'm like, man, I can't pick a team. I can't pick just one. I'm going to have to buy 4 hoodies.
Yeah.
I'm fans of all of these teams.
I know.
This is so
I
cool.
know.
If people want to find more information.
We'll have some cool merch.
You do. Yeah. I mean, just the rollout, the merch is just, there goes all my cheer money again.
I was going to say, we've got some with like the Pro Cheer League logo and all 4 team logos on the back as well. So
okay. Count me in.
Yeah.
Count me in.
That's right.
I love it. Okay, so you mentioned the Pro Cheer League hashtag. If people want more information about the Pro Cheer League and especially how they can get tickets to one of the events, where can they find that information?
Yeah, on our website is the best place to go, and then follow us on social, which is the hashtag Pro Cheer League. Our marketing team's doing a great job, getting all the information, and you can subscribe. I think, as you said, you're doing. I did the same thing,
All
so
the
you get all the
team, send me
notifications.
emails.
Yeah, yeah. My Instagram is blowing up. So, but yeah, there's that's the best place to follow us on social, or hashtag Pro Cheer League. Or check us out on the website. We've got all the information that that we're publishing on the website as well.
Well, I love how this is already materializing and coming to fruition. And I know a lot of people, like you said, are putting their heart and soul into it. It's definitely a labor of love by those who truly love cheerleading. So I think that that's definitely going to shine through in all aspects of the league and the events that we get to see. And good luck. I'm excited to experience at least one of the events myself and report back to my listeners and to the community that we have here with the Cheer Mom blog and the Cheer Mom podcast. And Newby, Commish, I feel like we should play you out with the theme song from the Commish, but that's we'll do that in post. Thank you for being with me.
Hey, well, I appreciate it, Kristen. Thank you for having me, and we appreciate all your support. A lot of people, were, not necessarily critical, but didn't think there was any way we were going to pull this off. So, that's been driving us to figure out a way to make this work, to make it something that, will be of value to the whole cheer community, and that's going to continue to be our focus. We're really excited, and we appreciate all the support that we're already getting from parents and gym owners and coaches across the country. To see if we can pull this off. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an adventure.
So exciting. I got to ask, last question. Is there an age limit to being a pro cheer athlete? Because I can start training right now.
There's not a top age limit.
There we go.
So as long as you're 18, over 18, you have the opportunity. So, and hit me up if you're coming to one of those events. Yeah, let me know. And we'll take care of you. I'd love to see you there.
Oh, I'll see you there. I'll see you there for sure.
What up, party people? This is Jason Larkins, host of the Let's Talk Cheer podcast, and I've teamed up with Kristen Wheeler of the Cheer Mom podcast and Dan Cotton of the Cheer Biz podcast.
That's right. Hey, everybody, Kristen here. We know that you love cheer, so why not dive into more perspectives? Tune into my podcast, the Cheer Mom podcast, for cheer issues spoken from the parent's perspective. Then head over to Dan's podcast, the Cheer Biz podcast, to learn from a gym owner on how to run a successful cheer business. And of course, don't miss the Let's Talk Cheer podcast featuring Jason Larkins, the one that we all know and love, where they talk about cheer from a coach's perspective.
Which means whether you're a coach, a cheer parent, or a gym owner, we've got you covered. Find all 3 podcasts on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay tuned for new episodes each week.